everyone, welcome back to The Last of Us Season 2 mini podcast with episode 2, Through the Valley. This is Green.emo and I'm joined today by that guy Jakey.
Hey, what's up everyone? Looking forward to talk about this episode. It's going to be very interesting. Yeah, very interesting.
It's a very interesting and very emotional episode. I will say there are heavy spoilers for the episode and for the game, as we will be discussing any differences between the episode and the game. So let's start right at the beginning. We get to see the Abby flashback, which was the dream that she had about her going to the hospital just before Joel does the dirty. And then we also get to see literally the beginning of the game. So when Jesse goes and knocks on Ellie's door, gets her out, she explains the whole, oh, I kissed Dina, oh, you didn't know, situation. So yeah, it's just like kind of like a little wrap up of what happened at the party previously. Now, the way they did the Abby flashback was really cool because we saw Abby, but we also saw like another version of Abby telling her that he's gone. He's dead. He's on the floor. His brains are out. So this is the first time that we get to see basically Abby going through the whole motion of what's happened to her dad in the hospital. So for those who have never played the game before and this is the first time they're watching The Last of Us, this is where you get that full-on explanation that that person that Joel had killed in the hospital was Abby's dad. Hence why she is after Joel. So we get that whole little explanation, which, you know, it's only going to be 7 episodes this season. So I can understand they don't want to drag out the whole explanation of what's going on, why she's after Joel, etc. So they kind of want to wrap it up a little bit, give you that little pulling factor for you to come back and watch more episodes for the season.
I also think that they didn't want to kind of reveal too much about Abby just yet. They kind of want to replicate what the game is actually showcasing as well. Because, like, for anyone that's actually played the game, we actually don't really know who Abby is. Even though that, yes, we have some idea that her dad was the doctor, we still don't understand, like, the ins and outs of that, you know? So I think they've done it really, really well. I think some people might disagree with it, but I think they've done it really, really well, to be honest. I can see how and why they've changed certain things, because again, like, a game is a game. Like, it's structured differently compared to a TV show, you know? And like what Green.emo said, you kind of have to have that sort of pulling factor where it kind of wants you to come back and know what is actually going on. So I personally think they've done it really, really well.
Speaking about wrapping things up from the last episode, we also get to see the scene where Maria asks Ellie to come and see her, and then she goes to see her during like this massive like town hall meeting with Tommy, because, you know, there's been rumors about a lot of infected out there that's coming close to the town of Jackson. So we get to see Ellie go and see Maria, and then they go and see our boy Seth.
Oh man, Seth is still alive, everyone. Seth is still alive and he's doing well. No bruises, no nothing, no broken joints. Like, my man just disappeared off the screen. But yeah, I'm glad that he's doing good.
Yeah, Seth is doing well. They both apologized to each other. So that was nice. Seth gave them some steak sandwiches.
Yeah.
So, you know, good steak for their patrol. So that was nice to see that, you know, our boy Seth, he's doing well.
Nice.
So then after we see that sort of beginning of the game, beginning of the episode, we move into the cabin, the log cabin. So as soon as you see that scene, again, for those who have played the game, we all know what's coming. We're just like, oh no.
I was just shaking my head, man. I was just like, this can't actually be it.
It's happening this episode. It's gonna happen.
Can I just mention, they done the cabin so well. Like, It looks exactly like the game.
Yeah.
Like, it's ridiculous how much they've been able to just mimic what the game showcases and put it into real life. It just looks really, really good. Mm-hmm. You know, the scenery in the window, you can see that it's somewhat CGI, like a backdrop or something. But like, the actual cabin itself looks fantastic.
Yeah.
Like the lighting and everything, like looks really, really good.
Yeah, for sure. That's one thing I like about The Last of Us, the live action. I was actually listening to the podcast for the official podcast for part 1 recently. So just letting you know as well, while we're recording these mini podcasts, we are literally doing it straight after we've watched the episode. So we haven't listened to the official podcast yet. So all of these thoughts and opinions and such are all our own. We don't want to be influenced by, the official stuff just yet. But one thing that Neil Druckmann was talking about in the previous podcast was that the scene with Ellie at the party, that very first scene where the camera pans down, they're using the lights and such, it was something that they tried using the cameras on the crane, and it just wasn't capturing it exactly how it was. Like, they were a little bit happy about it, but it didn't look exactly like the game. And the lady who was I think it was a cinematographer, she was like, a massive fan of the game. And for her, even though she had filmed it, she was just like, I'm not that happy with it. So she decided to actually take the camera and do it by hand and literally capture the lights and pan it down. And
That's
it
so
looked
cool.
exactly like the game.
That's it.
So having those fans behind the game, you can clearly see when you're watching this that it looks just like the game, and you can see all the passion behind it, that they want it to be exactly the same. So yeah, going back to Log Cabin, looks brilliant. So in that scene, we get to explore like a more of an expanded discussion of what's happening. So, they can see Jackson off in the distance. Abby just wants to go in and just get things done. But Owen, being the reasonable and sensible one, was like, look, we've got half a plan here. Like, even if we go into Jackson, we don't know where Joel is. It's a big place, so. And they also mention about not killing everyone, not killing anyone. They mention about Joel.
Yeah,
so,
they were pretty heartfelt, I suppose. They didn't really want to cause too much disruptions. They just wanted to go in, take Joel, and that's it. That's literally it.
Yeah, and I'm glad that they kind of showcased this, because again, there's going to be that whole massive debate about, Team Ellie, Team Abby, etc. But this was just a showcase that they are human.
Yeah, there's no teams.
Yeah, there's no teams. There's no, like, full-on revenge or anything. This is all Abby, and she just wants Joel. There's no one else involved. It's not a whole rampage. They just want Joel. So I'm glad they kind of explain that and showcase that through that episode, just so, we know what was coming, and we're going to have a lot of hate for all of them, but also we need to understand where they're also coming from as well, which we'll go through in a bit. So yeah, it was really good seeing that. And again, it's something that they changed a little bit in the game, because I think maybe putting it on screen in the game, it wouldn't have worked out as well as on screen for live action. So in the game, it's just mostly Abby and Owen talking. Everyone else is basically asleep. But in this one, we're able to see, a bit more, and we get to kind of explore the other characters a little bit more as well, and their thoughts and feelings. Yeah. I have to say, like I said, absolutely hate Mel in the game. Absolutely hate her in the game. But in this episode, I was like, she's actually okay.
So far.
So far. We know what her relationship is with Owen and Abby, so
her jealousy will start to shine a bit more.
Yeah.
I'm pretty much sure we're going to be getting like an Abby episode where it's just going to be purely based on her. Probably when they go to the aquarium, to be honest.
Yeah, and like we should see the whole stadium and everything, because remember we've just been introduced to Abby. Like, we haven't seen the previous part.
But I think that's what they want to happen. They don't want you to understand Abby yet.
Yeah.
They want to give that shock, and like, how can just one little girl just kill off Joel?
And you know what? It will probably be season 3.
I'm not gonna expect it to be this season, because there's quite a bit before we get to the aquarium, to be honest.
One of the things that we absolutely love about this season so far is the music.
The music is very the same. They haven't really changed it too much. Very intense. Very monotone in a way where it doesn't overpower the actors itself. So it's always just like a nice subtle sound in the background to kind of keep up the tension. Even when it's just like in Jackson, like it's still just that continuous sound that you hear, which is, I really love that about Last of Us 2 compared to 1. Like 1 had a lot of melodies, a lot of standout songs that you probably remember in your head. But with Last of Us 2, there was a few songs that you can remember, but the majority of it was just ambient sound. Ones to kind of really get you into the mood and kind of like make you feel like if you're in the action itself. And I love that. And the build up towards towards Joel's death, it was again very intense. And I feel like I was just playing the game again, which was really, really good.
Yeah, even with Abby being in the snow just before like all the infected got woken up, coming out of the snow, and just this massive horde was after her. There was that intense music, just that build up. Yeah. So you knew something was happening. Like, again, like when you're playing the game, when you hear this music, you knew something was about to happen. Prepare yourself. Yeah. And this is exactly what was happening in this episode again. But that scene with Abby in the snow and all the infected just started coming out, clickers, everything. Like, it was intense. Even when she was behind the
behind the fence.
Yeah, behind the fence.
Oh, man, that was rough. Damn.
She was behind the fence, then on the floor behind the fence, and then an infected comes behind her.
Oh, when the infected was just like pushing his hands through the fence. Damn. That like, was...
They really went full on. And that was another thing we noticed. Like, again, in the first season, we know, it's a first season, there's budget. They mentioned that, we knew there wasn't that many infected in the first season. We could see it. It only happened in really one episode, really, with a bloater. And they did mention that, don't worry, season 2 will have a lot of infected. Listen, we are on episode 2. And the amount of infected that we just saw, which we will talk about in a second. Moving on from the music, we are now like coming up to nearly like halfway through the episode. And we have the patrol now about to go out. So after Jesse had gone to Ellie, and then Ellie went and apologized to our lad Seth, they talk about the patrols going out. And, Ellie is there going on about how she's going to go on patrol with Joel, daddy-daughter day. And then Jesse's like, Joel's already gone. And you could tell that she's quite shocked. But also a little bit like disappointed. Yeah. But then you can see that she's kind of like, oh, okay, because of what happened the night before.
I mean, to be honest though, right? She shouldn't even be shocked because Ellie's just been dodging Joel like a bullet. So like, Joel's just kind of like, you know what? Okay, cool. If she just wants to ignore me, bless. I'll be just doing my own thing then. And what's the point of trying to ask her every single time? Which I get him, man. Like, for one good thing that he's done, this is it. So, fair play.
I think what also kind of, not shocked her, but I don't know, maybe hurt her a little bit. The fact that Joel went out on patrol with Dina.
Yeah.
So.
And you know what?
Yeah.
In the first episode, he was like, oh, what did she say?
I mean, from the moment we saw Dina, like her introduction, Joel was like, hey, kiddo. And you think it's Ellie. When he looks up, it's actually Dina.
He said something about, in the first episode, saying that, oh, you're not. It's not like if you're my daughter or something like that.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah.
And I was like, damn.
Yeah. So now it's like, oh, he's replaced Ellie with Dina. That's what it kind of, looks and feels like to Ellie.
I'm wondering if that's going to affect Dina's and Ellie's relationship. There will be a time when you're just going to be seeing Ellie and Dina. Mm-hmm. That's their journey, right? Yeah. And it'll be slightly boring if it was like a very lovable story. Like, I want to see some tension between them, some argument, some jealousy, because obviously, Dina's gonna get pregnant, or probably is already pregnant right now.
Yeah, she already is.
Ellie's gonna fall in love, but then having that jealousy or that sort of like hate towards her because Dina is more close to Joel than, well, I wouldn't say more close, but like they're building that relationship together. It would be nice to see that Ellie is jealous or angry at Dina because of she being close to Joel as well as the pregnancy now.
Yeah.
So I don't know. And then obviously they will all fall in love and do whatever they need to do. But like, this whole journey, I think it would be nice to have that tension.
Yeah, I mean, it would be cool. Especially like how Dina is the one that was there with Joel when things went down.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was one thing they did switch up. So they switched it up that Joel went on the patrol with Dina instead of Tommy.
Yeah.
And then Tommy is actually in Jackson.
Oh.
And then it's Jesse that goes out with Ellie. Now, when that happened and we saw that unfolding, I said to that guy, Jakey, I don't know how I feel about this because I know what's going to happen. It's supposed to be Joel and Tommy in the cabin at the end, not Joel and Dina, you know? And I think, I mean, it will be interesting to find out if they do mention this in the official podcast. But my reasoning behind this is that, again, we know Abby is supposed to be hench in the game, of course. But she's not hench in the series. And to have Joel and Tommy, two quite large, you know, brutal guys, go up against, like, I want to say a bunch of kids, but they're not actually a bunch of kids. Like, I mean, he called them kids, but Abby mentions that she's, 24? Because she said when her dad died, she's 19.
She's a flipping kid.
So,
I'm sorry.
So that was a bit like so you're in your 20s then? Because in the I think in the game, Ellie's supposed to be about 19. So
yeah, something like that.
Abby is now a bit older than I don't know. I need to double check these age, but yeah,
I think Abby's always been older.
Yeah, but I didn't think by that much. you know,
Years.
But yeah, so yeah, having Joel and Tommy against them. I mean, the only reason why they were able to get caught was because they were caught off guard. If they were on point, they wouldn't have been caught like that. So they needed to remove that factor and have Joel kind of on his own. And when I say kind of on his own, is that we have Dina. Like, no offense to Dina, but there's not much that she can physically do. And they kind of knock her out, which, again, was just like another stab in the wound to say, yeah, Joel, you're by yourself, mate. Not even Ellie is here. You're by yourself. We're going to take you out.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I didn't know how I felt about that at the beginning because I love the brother relationship that Tommy and Joel has. And when you're playing the game, to know that Tommy is there, seeing his brother get brutally murdered and tortured, and he can't do anything about it. And then Ellie comes. Then you're just like, it's like they squeeze your heart and then they pop it right at the end. Right?
Rough.
So I was thinking, okay, how are they going to do this? Because you're removing an emotional element out of it. And it's just Joel.
Yeah.
Like, we love Joel, obviously. Does it help that it's Pedro? So then you have the Pedro fans that's just like, oh my gosh, it's Pedro, he's dying. And then you have the Last of Us fans who are like, oh my gosh, it's Joel, it's Troy Baker. Like, you know, it was kind of interesting to see how this was going to play out just by making that small switch.
To be honest, though, if they really wanted to, they could have left Joel's death until, like, episode 3.
Why?
No. The reason for this is because they focus so much on Jackson, right? If they really wanted that whole segment of Joel and Tommy to be at the cabin, they could have left that for episode 3 because that Jackson scene was pretty dense. Like that lasted for a good 10 minutes or so, right?
Yeah.
And I don't know, but like in the series, Tommy is really like political. Like he's really into his town.
Yeah, he's proper.
In the game, you don't really see it that much. You see it like once or twice, but like that's about it. But he's pretty political, you know. He cares about his town, and obviously he needs to look after Maria as well.
Yeah.
And his kid. We didn't even see the kid in this episode.
Yeah, that's another thing. Like,
so like he has a family, you know what I'm saying? So he has to stick with his family. So I feel like that's part of the reason why I didn't bother making him come to the cabin. You know.
Yeah.
But like I said, if they wanted to, they could have moved Joel's death to episode 3. Make the Jackson scene happen, and then he heads to the cabin by himself, and then
you know
what I'm saying, like.
But again, it would have like longed it out.
Yeah, I know. I'm pretty much sure they probably thought about that, but then they were like, you know what, let's make it a bit,
because the season's only 7 episodes as well. Exactly. If it was 10 episodes, I would understand dedicating a whole episode to that. But because it's much shorter than we expect.
Exactly. But man, we're talking about Jackson scene. That was my favorite scene. I'm not gonna lie.
wait. Just before we get to Jackson scene. So Ellie's gone out with Jesse to do the patrol, And then they're the ones that end up at the weed house.
Oh, yeah,
Eugene's weed house, right?
Yeah.
So Jesse actually talks about him and Eugene and how they were like, you know, besties and stuff like that. So that was another really cool insight to Eugene. I feel like Eugene has a bigger part in this season than he did in the game. I feel like they're really building up this Eugene character, right?
I don't really understand why, to be honest. Like, come on, like, they're doing this exact same thing that they did with season 1 with Frank. Like,
good old Frank.
Yeah.
And the strawberries. But yeah, we have Ellie and Jesse, and then so, you know, they have that discussion, like they just have a little chat. Ellie's walking around and saying how she's going to take all this weed, etc. That was one thing that, again, it's going to be interesting to see how they play out in the rest of the season, because this scene was also a very iconic and important scene as well, because obviously you have the little romance section with Dina and Ellie, but the most important thing is that Dina asks about her scar on her arm. And the whole tattoo situation, and Ellie says that, you know, it's a chemical burn, blah blah blah, because I think she tried to burn off the scar and it didn't work, so it kind of made it worse. And then she got tattooed. So she was explaining to Dina that she got bit and she's immune. And Dina didn't believe it. Which we do see later down in the game, that there's a scene where, actually it's kind of just after that scene, where they're running through like a train station and then there's spores. So maybe they said spores were coming in this season.
Okay.
So that's probably, I reckon, that would be the introduction to spores, because Ellie's breathing it in and she's not getting infected.
Yeah, absolutely.
So they've probably saved that for real, actually.
Yeah, but even with the whole, when they go into the you know, the bit with the horses and stuff, they parked up the horse and they see all the you know, the PlayStation consoles and stuff in it.
I hope to see a PlayStation console.
I know, right? But like that whole scene was not there. You know what I'm saying? I feel like they had quite a bit of like stuff to talk about in the game, which they haven't spoke about in the show yet. So let's see, man. I mean, they're just relocating certain parts of the game.
Yeah, exactly.
Which I'm fine with, as long as they keep them. It's, you know, because again, a game's a game. You can't really replicate every single thing.
No,
you know,
of course, and certain things just work better on screen than it does in the game. All right, we've got 2 major scenes to talk about now.
Yeah.
And I'm going to label this little chapter Jackson Hold.
Jackson Hold.
Jackson Hold, all right? So, the infected, they're on their way. They're coming to Jackson.
Yeah.
You know, alarm bells are ringing. Everyone's getting their little flamethrowers out. Everyone's getting their weapons.
Yeah.
You know, close the curtains. Hide your children.
Yeah.
You know, it's all happening. And as that guy Jakey mentioned, you know, we needed someone to be there. And that was Tommy.
Yeah.
And his family is there. Maria's there. His son is there. You know, we got to look after the town. He is the main guy.
And it seemed like everyone was running away.
I know.
I'm sorry. That annoyed me, man. Tommy was like, guys, let's go downstairs, yeah? And we take out these infected with the flamethrowers, yeah? They were getting ready. And then all of them were like, nah, Tommy, we're done. We're gone.
We're gone.
Yeah, this is a bit much. This is a bit too much, guys. We're gone. And Tommy's like, guys, where you going, man? So it was just Tommy by himself with the flamethrower. Damn.
Honestly, it was such a great scene. Like, you oh my gosh, like, literally, you get to see Tommy, like, at the top of the gates.
Yeah,
right?
man.
Everyone's lined up. They've got their rifles, everything. They've got these, and I noticed, it was really cool to see it, actually. They had these, like, little slopes leaving the wall. And I was thinking, oh, they're going to like throw down some like gasoline or something and just burn them up, save your ammo, right? And that's exactly what they did.
Yeah.
Tommy is up. Let me just say something before I get on, because this is very exciting. Gabriel Luna, okay? Yep. Gabriel Luna as Tommy. What a casting.
Yeah, man.
Every time I see him and he speaks. Tommy. Honestly, this is Tommy. Every time he speaks and I see him on screen, he just gives me goosebumps, because I'm just thinking, oh my gosh, Uncle Tommy.
Yeah.
Like, you are my guy.
Yeah.
You know, I have love for him that I have for Joel. Like, it was such a good cast in Gabriel Luna.
Very, very good.
Honestly, that whole Texan thing he's got going on, like, man.
Hey, man, you need to calm down, man.
Listen, all right. I saw him at Comic-Con once. And, he told me I had a nice smile. So I'm just going to throw that one out there. But no, honestly, though, great casting. So, yeah, he's up on that wall. And he's got his rifle out. And he's just shouting, Jackson, hold, and everyone's like, ah, and it was just like, you know, I was literally like at the edge of my seat, like shouting at the TV, like, yes, like I felt like I was in it. And then yeah, all the runners and the infected and everyone just like ran right into the wall, like it was like World War Z or something. They just dashed themselves into the wall.
It looked good, man.
It was really
This is like
good.
proper high budget series. You know what I'm saying? I can't tell the last time we actually had a TV show that was this high budget. Probably.
It felt like Game of Thrones. Like
I was gonna say probably Game of Thrones was the last.
Yeah.
No, actually that's a lie. We have Lord of the Rings, but
no. But like because it's HBO, like it literally it
Yeah.
felt like that episode, but done better.
Yeah.
With the Ice King,
Yeah.
when everything's like coming out and they were by the wall and everything, like it was a lot. But yeah, it was so intense. And then they just get all these like barrels of oil and gasoline and stuff and start like flinging them down those sort of slopes.
Flame up.
And everyone's just shooting at the barrels, setting
Tear up.
everything on fire. But unfortunately, you know, there's only so much you can hold, and they started to get through.
Yeah. I'm just scared. I was just scared because like there was a lot of moments where you'd think certain people would die. Which you did see some of the townspeople get killed and stuff, you know, and RIP to them, but I'm talking about Maria and Tommy.
Oh.
Damn. There was so many moments when I'm just like, are they actually gonna kill Maria or Tommy? Like
One of them's gonna die.
one of them are gonna die, and I'm like, no, man, they can't do that because that's gonna. Well, the thing is, right, Maria could potentially die. You know what I'm saying? But it's not gonna affect the story that much. But if Tommy was to die, what's the point of even telling the story anymore? You know, like, damn. But yeah, there was a lot of moments where I'm just like, wow, like I thought some people were gonna die. You know, they're gonna really change this up and such, but. No, it was just really, really intense action moments. And then we got introduced to the bloater.
My gosh. It was so, like, terrifying seeing Jackson on fire.
Yeah.
Like, literally on fire.
You never saw that in the game. Well, you might have seen like a lot of pieces, but that's about it.
Yeah, it's not something you're really exposed to. And just to see everything that they've built over these years, over the 5 years, because... when they went to Jackson the first time, it was kind of built up, but not like majorly built up to the way it is now. Yeah. Especially in the game, like in the series, Jackson looked like Jackson from Part 2, just not as built up. Yeah. But in the game, it didn't look like that.
They made it into like a little mini city, isn't it?
Yeah. But now to see it on fire, and then, you know, all these infected are coming through. Tommy is there by himself. Well, he was in a line with a bunch of people, and then they saw the bloater start. That's what I was saying. Through.
Yeah, they were like
dashed.
Listen, guys, I'm done.
They were gone.
They were like, they held up their hands. They were like, yeah, I'm good. I'm good. You man can go ahead. I'm a head back. I'm a head back. Let me grab my kids. Yeah. Let's go jump in the van. Go on a vacation.
But that's the thing though, they all left and Tommy's looking around like, where have you all gone? But then the bloater is heading to a building that's got a bunch of people in. So Tommy starts shooting at the bloater to get his attention. And then that was it, man. Game over.
Bro, the bloater literally stood in front of the building that Maria was on. The bloater was like...
Jacob's looking up into the sky.
Sorry, yeah, I'm sorry. I can't even... I can't even say this in the mic. My mum was like, Tommy, is that your wife? And then Tommy's like, don't you then. And then the blower's like, oh, you know I'm going upstairs.
Oh, no, you ain't.
Oh, you know I'm going upstairs. And then Tommy's like, no. And he started running towards the blower.
Mate, and he ran towards him, shot him up, get his attention. And then the blower started coming after Tommy. And honestly, like, I think the bloater this time, it looked a bit more CGI compared to the first bloater.
Absolutely, yeah.
It still looked great though.
Yeah.
And I think because of like the movements, because it was quite fast.
Yeah, in part 1, they didn't really do much. It was more about walking, really.
But yeah, this one, he was literally like, you know when you get the bloater in part 2, when you're playing as Ellie and Joel, in the flashback.
It's huge.
You know, after the sniping scene.
Yeah.
That bloater was super fast. Yeah. Okay? He was massive. He felt and looked bigger than the bloater that he had in part 1. But my gosh, he was fast, and he was just pumping himself through the walls. This is what this bloater was like.
I think it's because that segment was after
it's after part 1.
Like, it's in the middle, so the bloaters were growing.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because obviously part 2 is like 5 years later.
Yeah.
how many years was that section was? Like probably about a year or two, maybe. Yeah.
So yeah, they're just kind of evolving. But yeah, this bloater was fast, and it was so good to see the bloater. It's like when you, it's kind of like this whole Minecraft chicken jockey situation where everyone's getting crazy in the cinema, which I had no idea what it was about. I had to Google it. But this time round, like as soon as the bloater comes out, I'm there shouting at TV, bloater, yeah, you know, man. Like. When you see the bloater, you know it's a good time. You know it's a good time.
Absolutely.
But honestly, that segment there, that was scary because we had like it kept switching between Tommy and Maria. So you do think, oh my gosh, is one of them gonna die? And then the bloater, like Tommy goes round the corner in some like little alleyway, and all you hear is the bloater. You don't see him, you just hear him.
That was scary.
And then you see him in the reflection.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh crap. And then he comes through.
Damn.
My gosh, Tommy like let that flamethrower on him until he was out.
I thought that was it.
Tommy was on the floor afterwards, and he was just like, "That's it.
Damn,
it's done.
there's not
I'm
much
out."
you can do. A handgun is not gonna help.
I honestly thought someone was gonna come and shoot the bloater, but the bloater had so much fire on him.
Yeah.
As quite like the game, it does take a while, and it just kind of
because it burns through the burns through the infection, innit?
So it takes
sounds nasty,
time.
but yeah.
Burns through the infection. That's the name of our next podcast.
Oh man.
Burns through the infection. But yeah, it was that scene was just great. Like you're so much rooting for Tommy. But then, like I said, it kept switching between Tommy and Maria. Maria's on the rooftop shooting people, running around, but the camera was just following her from the back, and it was just like, oh my gosh, are you gonna get shot? Like, be careful, please. You have a child.
Yeah, man. But even Tommy, he was running through the infected, and I was like, is no one actually looking at him? Like, I thought that was a bit too scripted, personally, because I was like, there's so much infected, right? And then there's only one Tommy.
One Tommy.
You know what I'm saying? You're telling me everyone was running past him. Like, I feel that was a bit scripted. But, like, other than that, I thought it was very, very good. I'm very happy they included this scene.
Oh, yeah. This whole Jackson Hole scene was just amazing. Like, I'm going to be honest, right? I found out that IGN gave this episode a 6. I kid you not. I do not understand. Did they turn the 6? Was it a 9 and they turned it upside down? Like, I don't understand how they gave this episode a 6.
I know.
Just for that scene alone, it was a 9. You know?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's time to talk about the lodge scene.
The finale.
The finale
of certain people's lives. Yeah.
Well, so again, prior to that, we saw Abby looking out in the distance, and we know that Jesse and Ellie had gone out, right? But then we see Ellie. She looks in her little binoculars. She can see 2 people on 2 horses, right? So you're wondering, is that Ellie or Jesse? Or is that Joel and Dina? And we all knew it was Joel and Dina.
Abby's got her eyes on her.
So Abby basically got to a point where she was about to get like ripped apart. Like the infected was on her after that little fence scene. And like someone comes and shoots the infected. You don't know who it is. I mean, we all know who it is. But for those who didn't know who it was, you see the watch.
Yeah.
That's the first thing you see. You see the revolver and you see the watch. You know who it is. It's Joel.
No, it's Tommy.
It's Joel Miller, okay? Pedro Pascal. Yeah. So, you know, it's the same like the game. It's like, hey, Joel's just saved you. He trusts you. Hey, how's it going? And then Abby's just like, you know, we've got a lodge or cabin not far from here. We can go there, patch up. And, you know, all this infected is around everywhere. They can see Jackson on fire. So they decide to go. As they're getting closer, Joel really does see that Jackson's really on fire. Yeah. And he wants to turn back. He's like, no, we need to go to Jackson.
Yeah, but all he's thinking about is
his family.
Ellie and Tommy and everyone, yeah.
He doesn't know that Ellie and Jesse have gone out.
Exactly.
So he thinks everyone's there. But the problem is, Abby is very persuasive. She's like, no, it's not that far ahead.
I'm not listening to some little girl. I'm sorry. Oh my gosh.
You know.
Especially this woman here as well. Like, if it was the big, if it was the hench Abby, yeah, I'd be like, alright, cool, I'll follow you, innit? You can protect me. But this is some little girl, man. Like,
But you know what? I think the reason why he went ahead is because he had Dina.
Yeah, no, of course.
You know, whereas within the game, you had Tommy and Joel, and it's a little bit of a different situation because they were being overrun by the infected more than we saw with Jackson. So they actually needed to get out from it.
Yeah.
Whereas in this situation, they've got a good head ahead of themselves with like the infected.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think it's because he had Dina, so he's kind of thinking about Dina and just getting everything ready, and then they can go back.
Yeah.
And then he's also thinking like, okay, there's gonna be more people at this cabin. We can go as an army and go.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we follow Abby back to that cabin. They get inside, you know, and even just before that, Dina had shouted out Joel's name, so Abby knew it was Joel.
Yeah.
In the game, Tommy shouts out Joel's name, so she knows it's Joel. So when they're at the cabin now and they're just like, oh, this and this has happened, she tells her group, help them.
Yeah.
She tells her group, help them. And then she speaks to Owen and is like, oh yeah, that's Dina. That's Joel.
This is Joel. Yeah.
From that, you knew exactly what was about to happen.
Yeah.
And then, was it Mel that grabbed Dina and held the gun against her head? Was it Mel?
Yeah, it was Mel, yeah.
And then, like, Joel's just like, you know, before that happens, actually, Joel's like saying, you know, right, let's grab all the blankets, let's grab this, da-da-da, and then we can head back out. Like, Joel's got his plan because he's thinking about Tommy and Ellie and his family. And they're just like, no. And Abby's like, my name is Abby. Proper introducing herself.
Flipping her.
Then they grab up Dina, hold the gun to her head, and Abby's just like, you need to tell me, when was the last time? No, before she said that, we get to see a little snippet of the WLF patch.
Yeah.
So we know that, you know, they are WLF. Fireflies are done.
They're definitely going to be implementing that later on because they I feel like they specifically showed that so you can remember later on.
Yeah, and she gives the explanation that the Fireflies are gone.
Exactly, yeah.
So she tells Joel, like, you know, tell me, when was the last time you saw Fireflies?
Yeah. I don't think they mentioned that in the game.
They mention it, but not there.
Yeah, because like, you play the game. Right?
Yeah, it's a build-up again. Yeah. It's a build-up. You find out on your own that Fireflies don't exist anymore.
Yeah.
But Owen is the little key to Fireflies because he knows there are some Fireflies left in, is it Santa Barbara?
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's not mentioned in the series yet, but yeah, we know that Fireflies are now gone. The last time Joel saw them was in Seattle. Not Seattle, Salt Lake.
Salt Lake, yeah.
And yeah, so she's just like, well, at least you didn't lie about that. And you can see from Joel's face, he's kind of trying to figure out, like, who the hell are you?
Yeah.
What have we done to you? I don't know you.
Hmm.
And then the shocking part happens.
Whew.
And it's still, the great thing about it is that it still shocks you the way it shocks you in the game.
Yeah.
Abby just pulls out a shotgun out of nowhere.
Popped off the knee.
Popped off that kneecap. Okay.
Damn.
The blast was so fast and heavy, and Joel just flips forwards onto the floor. Again,
that hurt
shocking.
me.
It hurts. It still hurts.
That hurt me, boy.
It still hurts. So the thing is, like, we were very cautious about this episode because we wanted to understand if they were gonna do it. You know, I knew there was going to be some differences. There was going to be some slight differences. It wasn't going to be picture for picture perfect as the game. But the main aspect of that scene needed to stay the same.
Of course.
And they kept them.
Yeah.
So it still rattles you. That shot to the knee, man. And you're just like, Joel?
One thing I remember in the game is when they walked into the room, I know it was with Tommy, but Joel and Tommy were kind of like looking out for everyone in the room, and then everyone was just staring at Joel when they found out it was Joel.
Yeah.
And then Joel was like, oh, why do you guys are looking at us?
Yeah.
Like, something.
Yeah.
And then they were like, they said something, and then he was like, what the hell? And then they grabbed up Tommy, they grabbed up Joel, and I was like, damn. But this one, it was a bit quick.
It was quick.
It was quite quick, which I felt like they might have rushed it a little bit.
I felt that. It's quite like the last episode of season 1.
Yeah, like
they rushed it a little bit.
They knew what was gonna happen. Like they were trying to get to the conclusion, you know. And I feel like there should have been a slight more build up, you know.
Yeah. So yeah, Joel's on the floor, mate. And then the difference between this one and the game is that Abby goes through a whole explanation of basically why they are there today and why they have Joel. So they get to basically explain to the audience what is happening, because again, like I said, in the game, we don't know why Abby kills Joel.
Yeah, we have no idea who
at
Abby
that point
is.
Yeah, at that point,
no idea.
we don't know. But in this episode, they explained. She literally gets down, looks him in the eye, and explains that he killed 18 people that day and one doctor, and that one doctor was her dad.
Yeah.
And that, from that little segment there, that's when I started to cry. I started to cry there because I felt it for both sides.
Yeah.
In the game, you don't feel anything for Abby. You just think, who is this prick?
Yeah.
Like, get her out of here. You just injured Joel. You feel it for Joel. But in this episode, I was feeling it for both sides because, again, we've mentioned this so many times. Joel wasn't the perfect person.
No,
okay?
he wasn't, no.
You know, he's done bad things like everybody else. And this time it caught up with him.
Yeah, because he was resonating with it. Like, he was like, damn, like,
that's
I
what
actually killed that much people?
Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Like, so you could, the first part of it, I started feeling it for Abby because I could see it in her face and her eyes. Like, Caitlin did such an amazing job. Like, I literally felt that emotion that, like, you know, I have the man in front of me who murdered my father that I have been searching for 5 years for. This is not like it's been 2 weeks. This is 5 years of searching, and you are now right in front of me, and I am now, like, about to kill you.
You know what pissed me off with this episode, right? Oh, this scene, anyways. It's just a little girl. Like, again, in the game, you can fathom the fact that it's this henchwoman, yeah, that's about to
You feel threatened.
demolish Joel.
Yeah.
This is some little girl, man. Like, this is like, you know, your dad coming into your school, yeah, telling you, yeah, look, we need to go home because it's too late, you know. You've done so much bad things in school. And then this one little girl's like, hey, you ain't taking my best friend from me. And then that little girl just knocks out your dad. Like, oh my gosh.
But again, this is why they needed Joel on his own. So prior to this as well, they actually knock out Dina.
Yeah.
They inject her with something that's gonna knock her out for an hour. So this is why I said I think they changed it up. Because if you had Tommy there,
Yeah.
it wouldn't feel as realistic because, you know, not unfortunately, but unfortunately, Abby is not hench.
Yeah.
She is, you know, a normal
I
size.
think it's unfortunate.
You know,
Yeah, it's
she is a normal
unfortunate.
sized, like, girl that she could not take on Joel. I don't care how old Joel is. Joel could sit on her and she'll be done.
Yeah.
Right? And same with Tommy. You know, and none of them there looked, you know, very
No, they were
threatening. They just have weapons.
Pretty young, yeah.
Yeah, so to have Joel but there by himself, then yeah, it would be game over.
Yeah.
And that's what they needed to do to make this scene seem a bit more realistic.
Yeah.
So they knock out Dina and dash her to the side, which unfortunately, I'm just like, okay, so you put Dina and Joel there. Dina has nothing to do with this. Like, it's done. Like,
Yeah.
you know,
It was a waste of space, personally.
Yeah.
Like,
it was a wasted character. You might as well just let Joel go there by himself then.
exactly.
So, yeah, you have that explanation from Abby's side. But then you also have the realization on Joel's face when he realizes, oh, crap, I killed your dad
Yeah.
5 years ago when I was saving Ellie.
Yeah.
I saved my, you know, adopted daughter, but killed somebody else's
Yeah.
dad.
Yeah.
And you can see in his face that he's realized this. And he's also given in.
Yeah. Because he's realized it's kill for kill.
It's done. He knows the game. He knows how the game works.
Yeah.
He knows. And that's one thing that in the series, or having a live action versus a game, like, the technology that Naughty Dog uses is amazing. It's like, it's top tier. It's like the best of the best, right?
Yeah.
And you can get these emotional scenes and emotions on the characters' faces and such. Like, you see it in the game, and that's
Yeah.
why it hurts you in the game. But seeing it live action as well.
And it's Pedro Pascal.
And it's Pedro.
We all love Pedro.
There's a certain spark that no matter what you do, like, you know, PC graphics, you know, it's not gonna pick it up. There's that soul of emotion that you get in a person's face, and that's what Pedro gave us in that moment. And it was just like, you know, you feel it. You're just like, it's done.
For the first time, you saw fear in his eyes.
Yeah. literally, you hadn't seen that kind of fear until the moment he thought Ellie was gonna die.
Yeah.
Like, there's 3 times we see that. We see it when Sarah dies.
Yeah.
We see it when Ellie could have potentially about to die.
Yeah.
And now we see it when he knows this is the end of the line.
Yeah.
There's no coming back from this one. And it's so sad.
Yeah.
And that's why I started crying, because it was just like, Abby, Joel,
Yeah, I know. But you know, like with Joel, I feel like there's a reason why he's always on the run. And it's because he kills a lot of people. You know, just like what Abby's done, she's hunting him down. We don't know within the Last of Us world how much people are trying to look for Joel.
But that's what I'm saying.
You know what I'm saying? Like, after everyone that he's killed and anyone that is still alive right now, we don't really know how much people are actually trying to look for Joel. And it's just so happens that we see Abby now, and that's what The Last of Us 2 is about. It's about revenge. All right? We see one character, which is, well, if you play the game, she's irrelevant for us at this moment.
Yeah.
But in the show, we know that this is the daughter of the doctor that Joel killed. So this is kind of like a representation for everyone that he killed, that there's always someone trying to find him. And I think this is the reason why he's always on the run. Same with when Tess was alive. Like, they were always on the run. They were always moving.
And that's the thing. They he always tries to clean things up and like get rid of everyone.
Yeah.
And that's what he did with Marlene.
Yeah.
Because he said, like, you'll just come after us.
But also, look at this now. He's finally settled down in Jackson. And look what's happened.
I know.
Look what's happened. He's settled down. He's stopped. He hasn't moved anywhere.
Yeah,
He's stopped for years.
I know.
And now someone's finally found him.
Caught up with him. But that's what I mean.
You should have kept moving, man.
Move! That's what this game is about. The past catching up with you. Consequences. There's consequences for actions.
Yeah, man.
So, yeah, after that unfortunate, like, kind of, you know, hey, this is why we're here today and I'm going to kill you. Like, Abby tells him, I'm going to kill you. She also mentions about, like, her training.
Yeah.
So, again, that's something that you don't really explore that much in the game.
We explore that when you play as Abby.
Yeah, when you play as Abby, you see where she's come from. But now they've actually told you they've had training.
Yeah.
Okay, they are WLF. They're not Fireflies anymore, and they were taught to not kill people who can't defend themselves.
Yeah.
But she's like, "That's you, but I'm gonna kill you anyways."
Yeah.
And the really interesting thing about it as well is that in the game, all the other people around, you know, Nora, etc., you hate them because they all have this hate in them. Like, you can see it. But in this episode, actually, like, I mean, Owen is Owen. We know he's always like 50-50. Mel was a little like, oh, maybe we shouldn't.
Do you know why, though?
Well, because they know they're not there to kill, really.
They don't care.
Well,
like, let's be real, right? They're just doing this because obviously Abby's their girl, innit? You know what I'm saying? They don't care. They're just as bad as Joel. Like, let's be real. They've killed just to survive.
Of course.
You know? So, I don't think they have this sort of drive as much as Abby does.
Yeah, no.
You know? So...
They just want it over and done with. Yeah. But Nora looked a little evil, though. She was just like
she just wants to
get
kill,
it done.
Bro. Yeah.
Same with Manny. He was just like, you know, let's get this done with.
Manny's a hunter, though, man. Like, he's there to kill. Like... Yeah.
And then Abby looks over to the golf clubs.
Yeah, that's it.
And then, you know, again, we all know what's coming. But for those of you who have never played The Last of Us, it will be very interesting to find out how you felt about this episode and about this scene in the comment section below. So Abby goes, grabs that golf club. Well, she's there playing around with it. She's trying to say something else to Joel, and Joel's just like, just get it over and done with, you know, because he knows. Just stop playing. And she's like, oh, you can't rush this. You know, she wants to, like, eat this up, you know? So, yeah, she gets that golf club, slaps him one in his knee.
Damn.
And you feel it. You hear him scream out, man.
And then she repeats it. Over and over again.
Yeah. And then you're just like, what's going to happen now? Who's going to save Joel? No one's going to save Joel. But then we see Ellie
Yeah.
We see Ellie on her way because she knows that Joel is out there on patrol with Dina.
Yeah.
Jesse went back to Jackson, I think, or he went a different direction. Ellie went because they had to split up.
Yeah.
So Ellie's on her way, and all you're thinking is, "Oh my gosh, Ellie, hurry up, please!" And again, it was like the game. You just wanted to hurry up,
Yeah.
but in the game, you're playing as her, so you're trying to rush, and it's not rushing quick enough. And they did the exact same thing as the game. She pops her gun through the door, and then Manny comes and slaps her one,
Damn.
takes the gun away. Ellie's face, and when she shouts Joel.
Yeah. She looked more angry than sad compared to the game, I think. Which is fine. I mean, I'm not too fussed about that personally, but I would have liked to see a bit more of a struggle. You know, but again, they rushed it. They rushed it. No, but they rushed it, man.
I know, but she's small.
Yeah, but she's...
There's not much to hold down.
I know. But they rushed it, you know. They should have made her emotions marinate a little bit more.
Yeah. I don't even think she saw Dina. Because we just saw her.
She
just saw Joel.
This is what I'm trying to say, you know. Like, the whole struggle of when she came into the room, I feel like that should have been a bit more of a longer scene. Maybe just by a couple of seconds. Only because, like, at the start of episode 1, she was doing all this training with this hench guy, you know.
Yeah.
So, like, what happened to all of that?
Went out the window. She saw Joel. That's what it was.
Yeah.
But yeah, man. Her again. I give props to Bella Ramsey for that. She did it well. There was a point where she actually, like, I don't know what she did to her face, but she looked exactly like Ellie.
Oh no, of course, yeah.
And it was just that whole cry for Joel, and she was just like, "Get up, get up." Man, I was in tears. I was done. At that point, I was done.
Yeah.
And then Owen's just like, finish it.
Just finish it, man.
And Joel's face, the makeup that they did, looked exactly like the game as well. So it was just that whole flashback to the game.
One thing about his his injury is that when she shot him in his knee, it only, like, in the game, his leg was flinging off.
Oh yeah, in this she kind of just turned around and shot.
Yeah.
So I don't even know if she aimed properly, but it just took off a bit.
They played it a bit safe, innit? Like,
oh yeah.
I know, like, it's a TV show and everything, but, like, this is one death that you should really kind of, like, hate for. They did it, but, like, I think they still could have made it a bit more gruesome.
Yeah.
You know? But, no, it was still really, really sad.
Yeah,
like,
man.
Damn.
Yeah, honestly, it was just Ellie and her voice shouting out to Joel to tell him to get up.
Yeah.
And there was a point where he kind of lifted his hand up.
And then she was like, what?
Oh, man. That was it was brutal. And then Owen's just like, finish it.
Yeah.
And then it was so different to the game, because in the game, it's just like another hit and it just goes black, right? Or you hear, like, it just goes silence and you just
hear
see
a
Ellie.
little, that white noise sound.
Yeah. But in this, you can see that Abby had destroyed Joel so much with the golf club. The golf club actually broke. And she picked up that broken golf club and stabbed him in the neck.
That's crazy.
It was just an empty stab.
And you felt and saw the thickness of his neck.
Yeah, it was just silent. All you heard was that little...
Yeah. Damn. And, like, he just shot off.
And that was it.
He just shot off. That was it.
And then, to make things worse, to really, like, you know, they were like, if you're not crying at this point, we're going to make you cry.
Yeah.
They leave, and we see Ellie crawl over to Joel. She crawls over, goes on top of him, and holds his hand. And she's just
she took out the broken golf club.
She took out the golf club, and she holds his hand, and she is just in pain. Like, at that point, I was done previously. But at this point, I was ugly crying at this point.
I had tears in my eyes, but I wasn't bawling, but, like, I felt tender.
Tender.
Like, my skin just felt like, I felt weak. I was shivering, man. I was like, damn, shivering like a wet dog, you know?
Yeah, I know.
Oh, man.
Honestly, it was just so emotional. It was, they did it well. Like, for a live action from the game, and like I said, not making everything picture perfect, they still did it well. They still knew how to get you. And then it was like, one last thing. If you're still not crying by this point, let's play Through the Valley by Ashley Johnson.
Damn.
Original Ellie voice actor. and you hear the music start to come through, and then you hear her start to sing.
Yeah.
Like I said, I was ugly crying already, okay? At this point, I was doing the whole and the vibrating in the seat situation, okay? And then you see, like, you know, Jesse had come to them. So they had Joel's body wrapped up and they're dragging him on the horse. You get to see the aftermath of Jackson. You know, Tommy is hugging Maria, like nearly falling to the ground. But we know it's not because Joel's dead. It's because he just nearly died at that point. You know, and he's happy that everyone's still alive. But Jackson is just a mess right now. So they've got a massive cleanup to do. You know, it was done. Fade to black. And now
I thought it was fantastic.
It was, honestly, it was a 9 out of 10.
One of, if not the best episodes ever.
Yeah, honestly. I don't remember who directed it. I think it might have been Craig.
I thought they could. I thought they weren't gonna top the first episode, which I thought was fantastic. But no, it was easily better.
Oh, 100%.
Structured better. They focused on what they wanted to do for that episode.
Yeah.
And they did it. They didn't. There's some parts which felt like it was rushed, but like to get it underneath the 1 hour mark, I thought they done a fantastic job. So
absolutely, yeah, 100%. Like the Jackson scene and the lodge scene, clearly two of the best scenes they've done between season 1 and season 2 for sure. And this just gives me hope for the rest of the season, and even more hope for possibly, we are theorizing that the last episode will be at the theater.
I've said that before. I reckon this part is mostly focusing on Ellie and Dina's journey.
Yeah.
Season 3 will focus on Abby's journey. So when she was younger, with her dad and stuff, and then maybe season 4 is kind of like the conclusion. And hopefully by season 4 we would have had Last of Us 3.
Wow, we'll see.
Because
about that.
if they don't bring out season 3 next year, it will more than likely be in the next 2 years. So let's see, you know.
Yes, we will see. But yeah, honestly, if this episode, you need loads of tissues, if you're anything like me. But yeah, that was episode 2, Through the Valley. Great, honestly, amazing start to this season so far. It's been so much fun to watch, and just seeing those comparisons between this and the game. So, as always, we'll be back again next Monday with episode 3. And we'll get through what's been going on there, see the aftermath of Joel's death.
Oh, man.
That's going to be rough, but yeah, it was a great episode. But yeah, as I said before, if you have seen this episode, if this is maybe your first time watching The Last of Us and you haven't played the game, please comment below and let us know what you thought about the episode. And if you have played the game, what did you think about the changes that they made between the game and this episode? Yeah,
honestly, I'm enjoying these podcasts because we usually talk like offline, just like in person and such, and it's nice to kind of express us a little bit and kind of have a bit more of a structure, you know. But also, guys, if you are interested in it as well, I do cover The Last of Us on the Steam Deck and pretty much all over my channel as well. So if you want to check out some of those videos, definitely do so. I've got a brand new one up now. So it's just myself playing The Last of Us 2 on the Steam Deck, but doing the no returns mode. And let me tell you something, that was an interesting ride. It was very, very funny and intense. So yeah, definitely check that one out.
Awesome stuff. But yeah, if you did like this podcast, please hit the like button. Also, don't forget to subscribe to my channel, green.emo, and to that guy Jakey, and check out his Steam Deck videos on The Last of Us Part 2. Thank you all again for listening, and we'll see you all again next Monday.
Nice one. Take care.